Carter.
Hi, Brhan. Am I pronouncing
Hi,
it
how are
correctly?
you?
Okay, great. So thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. First and foremost, what do we wish somebody on Chag HaSigd? Do we say Sigd Sameach? Is there something that you say to somebody in the morning?
Yeah, you can say Yom Sigd Sameach or Happy Sigd holiday, and yeah, that's it. How are you?
Okay, I'm great. How are you? So you took the bus from Beersheba to Jerusalem?
Yeah, so right now I'm in my friend's Midrasha, and I'm doing with you the interview, and then I'm gonna go to the Women&Mitzvot to celebrate.
Okay, great. So maybe you can tell us a little bit. What is Chag HaSigd? What does it celebrate? And what are you going to do today?
So Chag HaSigd, it's a Jewish Ethiopian holiday day that back then in Ethiopia, we were going to a peak of a mountain, and we were davening there. The Kesim, it's the rabbi of the community. They reminded to the whole community the connection that they have to Hashem, and they remind them not to go with the goyim, and to keep the Shabbos and to keep the rest of the mitzvahs. And the purpose of the day, it's to reconnect between Hashem and the Jewish community, because back then in Ethiopia, it was not easy to keep the mitzvahs, and it was not easy to be Jewish in a non-Jewish community. So they reminded them that we were reading the Ezra and Nehemiah books, just like Ezra and Nehemiah did in Shivat Zion, that they reminded to the whole Jewish community their connection to Hashem and the mitzvahs. So this is what they're doing. Sigd, it's basically it's worship, Sgida to Akadosh Baruch Hu, and that happened 50 days after Yom Kippur. It's a day that you're doing a cheshbon nefesh, that you're thinking to yourself, okay, we are 50 days after Yom Kippur. What we do right now, like we all the time promising to ourselves at the Yom Kippur. Hello? אני לא בשיעור, לא, אני בראיון, שנייה. I'm sorry if I'm
It's okay.
Yeah. So basically, 50 days after Yom Kippur, like every time Yom Kippur comes, you promising to yourself things, you promising that you do X or Y or Z. So right now you're 50 days after it. Where are you now? Do you continue what you're doing, or did you stop? Did you maintain what you promised to yourself or not? So it's like a day of cheshbon nefesh to do to yourself and to the Jewish community as well. And this Sigd holiday, it's celebrated this year in Israel, in Jerusalem, in Armon-Nativ, and the Kesim is praying and to all Am Israel, and remind again the mitzvahs and the how much is important to keep maintaining the mitzvahs. And they read in Ezra and Nehemiah and there's more books that they read, but I don't know them. And we celebrated that in our Women&Mitzvot.
Okay, so is it more of like a serious day or a happy celebrating kind of day?
So in Israel, it's happy day because we are here in Israel. Mm-hmm. Back then in Ethiopia, it was a serious day because like also you starting your day as fast day. Oh. And the second part of the day, you were eating and celebrating, wishing the next year you're going to be in Jerusalem. And now we are in Jerusalem. We're still fasting at the first part of the morning, the first part of the day. And we're doing the cheshbon nefesh, and we're doing the reconnection to Hashem, and then we celebrate. So it's half and half.
Okay, so half and half. Can you share the story of how your family came from Ethiopia to Israel, and I guess also a little bit about the sort of how things have changed in that transition?
Yeah, of course. So I was born in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, the capital city of Ethiopia. And my parents didn't go to Sudan and then moved to Israel as it was in the Solomon operation and Moses operation. So my family, my dad wanted to move to Israel. So he left my mom at the village because he didn't want to to be shocked and overwhelmed from the city life. So he told her that he's gonna get all the entry permit and all the documents that needs to be done to move to Israel. And he started this journey, and he moved to the city, to Addis Ababa, to get all the documentations done, and all of that. It happens. It takes 3 years.
Wow.
And yeah, and my mom waited to him at the village at Gojam. And when he finished, he took her to Addis Ababa, and then I was born. And then we moved to Israel 5 months later to Jerusalem. I think this shift from culture that it's totally changed, totally different from the Western culture. It caused like a little bit gap between the kids and the parents. I can give an example because because you know better than your parents the language, you know more the things that happen in Israel, the culture. So sometimes the kids feel that he has more authority than his parents, and that's a crisis for the parents because imagine in Ethiopia the kids were obeying to the parents. They didn't have their own will. They needed to listen to their parents. What the parents said, it's done. And the dad is like is the head of the family, like he's maintaining a whole farm business, and everybody's listening to him. And then when you move to Israel, it's totally different. You need to get help from your kids because you don't know the language. So like I can give, for example, for myself, I found myself giving help to my parents in translating documents, translating government documents, instead of like going out with my friends, instead of um, having fun. And also sometimes as I said, you think that you are more than your parents, but apparently you're not, because maybe they didn't go to high school, but maybe they didn't go to, I don't know, they didn't do degree, or they didn't have any studies, but they have a doctorate of the life of Emunah. And I can share a story that I was in my service community, and I broke my leg, and I went to a doctor, and the doctor said, it's okay, you don't have something in your leg, it's okay. And I called to my dad, and he said to me, if your leg is cold, it's mean that you broke your leg. And I was like, the doctor said I'm okay, but I'm still feeling the cold. And I got showered with hot water, and I still felt the cold in my leg. And my dad tell me, like, if your leg is cold, it's mean that you broke your leg. And unfortunately, I disrespected him because I thought, no, he's not a doctor. The doctor said I'm okay. And I've went to other doctor, and he consistently said, you're okay, your leg is okay. But I couldn't go on my feet. And I moved to the third doctor, and he checked me, and he said, honey, you broke your leg.
Wow.
Yes. And I cried that day, not because my leg, like also because my leg, but because I thought I'm more than my dad, and I thought I know more than him. And it was totally wrong. He knows better than me, and he was right. And if I would listen to him, I would get like a medicine and a medical care like earlier. So this is one example of transaction to Israel.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. So I guess that probably means that, right, in your family, the children who grow up are definitely much more integrated into Israeli society, and the parents probably have a much harder time with that. But what are some things that, at least in your house, you keep from your Ethiopian traditions? Something that maybe would surprise us.
So I can share about the 7 generations. Basically, do you know this? Did you heard about this?
Yes, but please share with our audience.
Okay. So basically the 7 generations, it's a culture it's a custom that you do in Ethiopian life. It's in general in Ethiopia, and it's also in Ethiopian Jewish life. So you're not getting married with someone that he's your family 7 generations back. So if I'm dating with someone that he's apparently my family, but he's 5 generations back or 4 generations, I can't marry him. And the young generation in Israel did like some protest to the elders because we can't maintain 7 generations. It's so far, and we are in Israel. So they moved it to 5 generations in Israel, but it's still hard. It's still hard to maintain that. This is things that we maintain in our house, but there is other families that do not do this. And if you are still getting married with someone that is your family, you will find yourself sometimes with that your family will not come to the wedding. I can share that I've dated with someone that he was my family. His grandfather and my grandmother were siblings, and we couldn't go out. So we broke up eventually. But it's things that, like, in Israel you can do it, but in my culture you can't. So this thing that you have to respect your parents, to respect the culture, it's also like a junction every time what to do. So this is one of the things.
Oh, wow. So I apologize if this is sort of personal, but are most young Ethiopians like you still only looking to date other Ethiopian Jews? You wouldn't be interested in dating a non-Ethiopian Jew because it's just too different?
So basically, everybody does what he wants. And I see a lot of people that dating with non-Ethiopian Jewish. Maybe from the reason that it's more easy, it's 100% not a family.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also because they're integrated to Israel and they feel like much more in the Israeli society. So they have more easy to date with someone that is a non-Ethiopian. I can tell that the elders from the Ethiopian community, some of them, they don't mind that the youngers will go out and date with the non-Ethiopian Jewish, but some of them care because they through a lot of racism in Israel when they came to Israel. So it's not easy for them that their kids married to non-Ethiopian kids. And also it's like it's close to their culture, it's close to their language. It's much more easy when your kid is dating an Ethiopian kid because he's more understanding you and what you've been through.
Right. So there's the shared cultural background. Also, I assume that language is an issue. Do you speak Amharic to your family at home?
Yes. So basically, I know Amharic, but I'm not speaking fluently as English. I know English better than Amharic. It's funny, and yes, there is the gap because the younger siblings do not know all the time the Ethiopian language, the Amharic. So it's caused to a problem that you want to talk to your grandma or to your grandpa, but you don't know how to reach out to them. Your grandma is talking to you, but you don't know what she's saying. But she's just wanted to have a nice conversation, like how it's going and how it's going in school and how it's going in college or in your job, but you don't know how to respond to her. So when that happened to me, I said to myself that I have and I must learn Amharic. Basically, my parents talk to me in Hebrew because it's much more easy to them and they want to know Hebrew, but they also speak to us in Amharic. but still there is the gap language that it's more often in the youngers, and then the grandpa and the grandma, and it's a gap that it's hard to close because the language.
Mhm. So you spoke already about how there's a difference between the relationships between parents and children in the traditional communities in Ethiopia and in Israel, where the children, have a lot more information. I was wondering, are there also differences in the role of women from the way that things were in Ethiopia and the way that they are now in Israel?
Yeah. So in Ethiopia back then, the Jewish women life was a community life. When, for example, a woman gave birth, so everybody were helping her with the food, with the taking care of the kids, with taking care of the maintenance of the house, the how to raise a kid, how to how to be a mom. So it was really a community life, a community life. There was like a house for women that gave birth, like it was written in the Torah, and also it was the house of when a woman got a nida period. So she moved to this house, and then she could learn how, when she saw a woman that gives birth, she watching her, and she's learning from her how to be a mom, how to take care of the kid, how to take care of the baby, how to hold him, how to recognize if he's feeling good or if he's not feeling good. So there's a lot of support from the other Jewish women in the village. In Israel, it's still happening, but in minority, because the women went out to work, and if they helping you, they still happening, but it's not in the high level that was back then in Ethiopia. And I can tell that also the role of the women in Ethiopia, it was basically maintenance and the raising the kids. And when we moved to Israel, the women went out to work. They started to learn the new culture, and it's caused also a breakage in the it's caused also a breakage in the family, because suddenly, like, also the dad is not the head and the authority of the house. Also there is the mom, and also she also wants to say things, and also she has her opinion, and she's bringing also the money for the home and for the kids. So it's changed the how do I say ma'amad?
The stature, the role, the position.
Yeah, the position, and it's not easy. Yes, it's not easy.
Okay, wow. Okay, I want to make sure that you have time to go out and celebrate and do everything that you want to get done today. So I want to ask just one last question, which is, I've seen some conversation about whether Sigd is a holiday that should be reserved just for the Ethiopian community to continue their traditions, or whether Sigd is a holiday that more Israeli Jews or Jews even around the world should start, taking on, learning about, participating in. How do you relate to that question and that border between keeping your Ethiopian traditions and also sharing and integrating with Israeli society?
So initially, the Sigd, it was meant to the Ethiopian Jewish community. And when I saw the holiday Mimuna, it's the Moroccan holiday after Passover. So I saw that it's related to everyone, Ashkenaz, Mizrahi, Yemen, Moroccan, Russian. Everybody's celebrating this holiday. Everybody's celebrating the Mimuna. I'm going to my friend's house and eat mufleta and celebrating with them, because it's belong to everyone. So this is what I believe, just that in Israel, the Sigd is supposed to be our holiday, not my holiday, also your holiday, and also other Jewish communities' holiday, because it can relate it to everyone, the reconnection to Hashem, the maintenance of the mitzvahs. I believe that it's belonged to everyone, and not also it's not supposed to be reserved to the Ethiopian Jewish in Israel. It's supposed to celebrate it and to be a holiday of everyone. This is what I believe.
That's great. So if on Mimuna we eat mufleta, what should we eat on Sigd? It's the most Jewish question. What should we eat?
Dabo, it's the bread that we do in every Shabbat, in every Kiddush. We're doing on that the Kiddush. So dabo, it's the bread. It's delicious. It's spongy, and I love that. You're more than welcome to come and eat with me.
Thank you so much. All right. So next year we'll celebrate Sigd together. This year we'll just make sure that everybody has the opportunity to hear your perspective. Thank you so much for taking time out this morning to talk to me. I really, really appreciate it. And
thank you.
Chag Sigd Sameach.
Chag Sigd Sameach. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for hosting me, Rachel.
My absolute pleasure.
Amen.
All right. We'll be in touch. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.